Hello, I'm Michael.
I'm Sally, and this is Wrestle MSX.
Dirty Dominik Mysterio arrives in a lowrider with Liv Morgan, and as they park up and head through the backstage area towards the ring, we see Bronson Reed and Braun Strowman go crashing through the merchandise table, still fighting from last week. Dom and Liv make it to the ring, however, with Liv telling us her revenge tour is on track and that the Women's World Championship is hers, Judgment Day is hers, and that hunk of a man, Dom, is also hers. Rhea Ripley puts us out of our misery by heading out and telling Bert and Ernie, Dom and Liv, that Adam Pearce has decided that at Bad Blood, Dom will be behind bars in a shark cage. We'll have to dust that down, won't we? Presumably hanging above the ring as Liv and Rhea battle it out. Rhea then plants a headbutt on Morgan and leaves the ring.
Time for a match. Sami Zayn versus Ludwig Kaiser. Bit of a scrappy start with some slapping and attempted grabbing before Sami drives Ludwig out the ring. Kaiser though gains the upper hand when they get back in the ring with a low drop kick and cover for 2. We end up back outside with Ludwig sending Sami crashing over the timekeeper's area before we go to a break. When we come back, both men are back in the ring and up on the top rope, with Sami hitting a powerbomb pin, only for a 2. Sami then hits an exploder and lines up for a haluva kick, only for Kaiser to roll out of the ring. Sami follows, gets beaten up and left on the ring steps. And you know what's coming? The Kaiser ring run and drop kick into the steps. After hitting it, Kaiser gets back into the ring, hoping he'll win by count out. He doesn't, as Sami just manages to beat it. Ludwig then rains right hands down on Sami, and Sami fights back. Ludwig goes for a cheeky pin using the ropes as leverage, but the referee spots it. While Kaiser argues with the ref, Sami lands an exploder on him and sets up for a haluva kick again. Kaiser has other ideas though, and meets Sami with an enziguri, getting a 2 count cover. Zayn then counters an STO into a German suplex, successfully hits a haluva kick and finally gets the 3 count on Ludwig. As Sami celebrates in the ring, out comes Gunther, in his wrestling gear. He tells Sami he's seen enough and that Ontario, California is the right place for it. He thinks that tonight is the right time for this, to step up and tell him no. Obviously meaning no title shot.
Running scared. Backstage we see Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods having a chat. Kingston brings out Xavier's trumpet and some boxes of bootios, but Woods tells Kofi that they need to get serious. Kofi agrees and tells Woods that he can call the shots. American Made then enter the picture. After a verbal spar, Gable tells his new posse how not to be and calls the New Day nerds for gaming. Gable then challenges the New Day to face the Creeds later. I'd also like to add that Gable again confirms that he's done with the Freaks, the Wyatt Sicks, so good to see Chad's learnt his lesson.
Back from the break and we see Dom and Liv arguing with Adam Pearce about Dom being locked in a shark cage. They can't persuade him to change his mind. Carlito and JD then join Dom and Liv, with Carlito having a match against Dragon Lee next. As they head to the ring though, they bump into Dragunov, who gives McDonough some grief. So there's clearly something building there.
Ring action now as Carlito, with Dom, JD and Liv at ringside, take on Dragon Lee, who has Zelina Vega, Del Toro and Joaquin with him. Lee starts well until Carlito levels him with a clothesline. Lee fights back, drop-kicking Carlito in the corner, dragging him to the middle of the ring and then climbing to the top rope. As he does though, things start to break down on the outside of the ring, with JD and Dom getting the better of Toro and Joaquin, and I think we can see where this one's heading. We then get a West Coast pop from Rey Mysterio, who apparently wasn't here, from the Timekeeper's area barrier onto Dom, with Lee trying to pin on Carlito as he watches on, but only for 2. Operation Dragon then finishes Carlito, with Lee picking up the victory. It's good to see him win, because I think I actually enjoy Lee's matches.
Yeah, he's good.
He's lots of top rope stuff.
Yeah.
I love it. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see technical all the time.
Backstage and we have Miz getting ready for his match against Bronson Reed. Hopefully he's done with Strowman. Just before he heads out though, Karrion Kross appears, telling Miz that monsters come in all different shapes and sizes. Miz, seeing this as a pep talk, replies that they do. Miz heads to his match as Kross gives a sly smile.
After the break and backstage, we see Sheamus telling Kathy Kelly that he has a score to settle with Butch, aka Pete Dunne, and he's making it an English-Irish thing.
Miz versus Bronson Reed next, and I'm thinking interference. And we get it. I just wasn't expecting it that quickly. As Reed's at the ring steps, Strowman leaps from the crowd barrier, taking out the tsunami machine. Miz and Strowman then argue outside the ring, and while they do, Reed dives out the ring, taking them both out. Godzilla and Kong then get in the ring, and after clearing out the backstage hands who try to spoil things by breaking them up,
Just leave them to it, guys. Just back up.
they finally collide, but take each other out with a clothesline. Just as they get their hands on each other again, they get separated by more backstage hands. 2 backstagers get tsunami'd, 2 get chokeslammed, but ultimately we don't get 2 big men fighting.
Vince is gutted. Drew McIntyre out next and responding to CM Punk from last week. After quoting Punk from last week's Raw, Drew says that he doesn't want to go back inside Hell in a Cell. But it doesn't matter what he thinks, this match is going to happen at Bad Blood. McIntyre says he's broken Punk before and then vows to break Punk permanently in the cell before leaving the ring.
Backstage, and Adam Pearce tells Jackie Redmond that next week it'll be Bronson Reed against Braun Strowman in a last monster standing match. We then hear a scuffle and see, no, not Reed and Strowman, but Pete Dunne attacking Sheamus with a cricket bat.
Next out, Alba Fire and Isla Dawn actually coming out as Unholy Union against Damage Control. But just before Control walk out though, Bianca Belair gives Io Sky credit for last week's match. Sky tells Belair and Cargill that they're coming for their tag titles, but of course they are. So anyway, on with the match.
Somehow, Dawn managed to kick out of a cover at 2 after Sky and Zayn battered her.
And they did batter her.
Dawn not laying a finger on either opponent. Back from the break, and Dawn's back in the game and taking it to Zayn. Fire tags in to keep the pressure on, but Zayn tags out with Sky coming in and taking it to the Union by springboard drop kicking both of them. A Meteora and a follow-up cover on Fire only gets Sky a 2 count. Dawn then tags in, misses a backstabber as Sky holds onto the ropes and gets finished off with an over the moonsault as Zayn drops an elbow on Fire who's on the outside. Sky covers Dawn for the 1-2-3.
Backstage, and Kathy Kelly speaks with Bron Breakker. Bron says it's game day and someone's going to get their ass kicked, and it's not going to be him because he's going to be champion for a long time.
We then head to a break where this symbol appears. A voice can be heard saying fate is woven.
Another faction, another wrestler,
No idea.
Anyway, if anybody knows, let us know
Yeah.
in the comments. We then get to rewatch the Cody Rhodes Roman Reigns showdown from SmackDown. So if you want to know what happened there, skip to 2 minutes 36 seconds on our last SmackDown video to get the full SP on that.
Back from the break, we see Sami Zayn wishing Jey Uso luck in his match later, and to make the Intercontinental Championship his.
Time for the Creed brothers to take on the New Day, because they're serious now. The Creeds obviously with Gable and Niall. Julius and Woods start us off with Woods laying the smackdown on Julius.
Oh, not heard that in a while.
Woods then tags in Kofi, who goes for a cover, but only gets a 2 count. Julius manages to tag in Brutus, who doesn't do a lot apart from getting covered 3 times for a 2 count, slapped and then superplexed by Woods from the top rope. Kingston was also being superplexed off the opposite top rope by Julius, but not quite at the same time. Back from the break, and Gable's talking to the referee as Woods makes the tag, and in comes Kofi. But as Kofi's about to attack, the referee tells him to leave the ring as there was no tag. There was ref, but you were too busy chatting to Gable. While the ref argues with Kofi, Brutus and Gable from outside the ring beat on Woods. With Kofi now back on the apron, Woods and Brutus continue their battle, with Woods missile drop kicking Brutus before making the tag. As he does, Brutus reaches Julius, who also tags in. Kofi sends Julius over the top rope before trust falling on the Creeds. Back in the ring, Kofi crossbodies Julius from the top rope and into a pin for a 2 count. After flooring Julius again, Kofi tags in Woods and exits the ring over the top rope, taking out Brutus. Woods then climbs the top rope to drop an elbow on Julius, but Gable distracts him, so Woods goes after him, tosses him into the ring and roundly beats on him. Woods doesn't see Julius coming with a big knee to the face, who then sets him up for the finish. Brutus tags in, Brutus balls Woods and then covers him for the winning pin.
We then hear from Damian Priest. He had a saying on the streets, "I'm my brother's keeper." He then says that life can take us to some unexpected places. It took him to the Judgment Day, and a crew that became a family and a brother to keep, Finn Balor. He said that Balor always wanted it to be about him, and that Priest should have seen it coming. Am I my brother's keeper? I always will be. Finn Balor, you are not my brother. At bad blood, something in Spanish.
See.
Don't know what he said.
We then go to a break, but just before it we have some Wyatt Sicks shenanigans and a QR code. We also see someone in a mask. I think it's someone other than who's already in the gang, someone new. If you know better, again, let us know in the comments. It just looked like somebody completely different. The QR code takes us to the recapitulation website, I've probably butchered that, where 2 new words have appeared. Selecting them brings up 2 new images. Look, it's Braun Strowman.
Back from the break, and we hear from Pure Fusion Collective telling the women's division to step up and shoot their shot.
We then see Xavier Woods arguing with Rey Mysterio backstage. Rey tells Woods he doesn't have time for this. Woods takes umbrage to this, saying, "You don't have time for me because I've never had a singles title." Rey says, "You know what? You got it, and me next week."
After yet another break, we get a vignette of Reed versus Strowman for next week's Monster vs. Monster. It's made to look like Godzilla versus Godzilla, which is funny as we paralleled it to something similar earlier.
Last match of the night, Bron Breakker versus Jey Uso for the Intercontinental title. Jey sends Bron crashing out the ring with a slap before we all need to calm down with an ad break. When we come back, Jey's getting power slammed and thrown into ring posts by Bron. After dancing around the ring, Bron drops Jey onto the top rope before reintroducing him to the ring post once again. Jey though rallies, throwing Breakker out the ring and then trying to follow up by diving to the outside. Bron catches him with a forearm uppercut, places him on the announcer's table and then jumps from the apron, bulldogging Jey onto and over it. Back from yet another break, and we're back in the ring with Jey delivering some big right hands, a hip attack and then a cover, but only for a 2 count. Bron goes for a gorilla press slam, which Jey slips, setting Breakker up for a Samoan drop and a pin, but only for 2 again. The top rope Frankensteiner gets Bron a 2 count after he caught up with Jey, who was climbing the ropes to hit a splash. Bron went for another gorilla press slam, this time getting it and pinning Jey, but only for 2. Jey rolls out the ring to catch a break, but Bron follows and spears him outside. Bron rolls Jey back into the ring, runs the ropes and ends up getting speared by Jey. Jey then splashes Bron from the top rope and covers him, but Bron kicks out on 2. Bron rolls Jey out the ring again, gets out the other side and builds up a head of steam to spear Jey. Jey catches Breakker with a super kick, spears him through the timekeeper's barrier and then rolls him back into the ring, where Jey hits Bron with another spear and another Uso splash from the top rope. Jey lands it and covers Bron once again. Bron doesn't kick out, and Jey becomes the new Intercontinental Champion. Raw goes off the air with Jey celebrating in the crowd. Good for Jey.
Yeah, didn't see that coming at all.
No, I thought Breakker was going to hold that for... Poof.
I thought he'd have it for a bit, but I am glad that Jey won.
Yeah,
definitely.
I think he's more over than Bron.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
Don't get me wrong, Bron's over, but I think Jey's...
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
fine
it definitely
at the
needs
moment.
that singles belt. It's
But yeah.
his first one, isn't it?
It looks like the Wyatts are going after somebody else.
Yeah, don't know who.
Or Strowman's coming in,
Maybe.
and we've got that new symbol, whatever that is.
Yeah,
Somebody come in.
stuff's happening.
Good. Anyway, thanks again for watching.
And we'll see you Saturday for our look at SmackDown.